Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
On your Daily Detroit, there are new state unemployment numbers. The Detroit Public Schools are getting more than 50,000 tablets for distance learning. Republicans in the state legislature are working to strip the governor's emergency powers, wanting to open the economy faster. A report says that Detroit City Council president is in hot water over campaign contributions. GM is calling back some white-collar workers. Henry Ford is adding to the pile of healthcare-related layoffs. And a magazine popular with the farmers market crowd has changed hands. It's Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. I'm Jairus Days. But first, the latest with the statewide coronavirus crisis totals. The number of new daily confirmed cases has risen to 1,325. It's the highest daily case increase in more than a week, and it brings the state's total to nearly 35,300. There have been 2,977 fatalities, with an additional 109 reported overnight, plus 55 that are listed as catch-ups, not previously reported. The city of Detroit is now at nearly 800 deaths during the crisis. The rest of Wayne County has nearly 600 fatalities, Oakland more than 560, and Macomb nearly 500. Detroit's Parks and Recreation Division announced today that they will suspend programs, classes, and events through the summer season. This also includes recreation centers, athletic leagues, events, summer fun centers, and their summer day camp. They will, however, continue to distribute food at recreation sites through the summer. We now have a fuller picture of unemployment in the state of Michigan. The latest from the U.S. Department of Labor shows that more than 134,000 Michiganders filed for unemployment last week, with about 1,180,000 claims since March 15th. This means about 24%, or almost a quarter of Michigan's workers, have filed for unemployment. Since the crisis started, the state has spent $1.4 billion and shared that with approximately 820,000 people. Independent workers, not usually eligible for unemployment, but under the Federal CARES Act can apply, comprise about 400,000 of Michigan's claims. Speaking of which, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer issued an executive order extending and expanding eligibility for unemployment benefits to workers who, quote, voluntarily left a job after accepting new employment, but were unable to start their new position due to the pandemic. We have a better idea since yesterday's show of the scale of the state of Michigan's layoffs. The total number furloughed for 2 weeks at a time will exceed 3,000 state employees, including 900 at the Department of State, whose offices used for license renewals and the such are shuttered. State officials expect that there will be a $3 billion revenue hole this fiscal year, and Bridge Magazine reports that over the next year and a half, that total could reach as much as $7 billion. We've been pretty loud about talking about the budget shortfalls coming for all levels of government, from cities to counties to states, and that without some sort of federal intervention, well, there are massive cuts coming to your community. And that help isn't coming as of now. U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on the conservative Hugh Hewitt show said that he'd be in favor of states filing for bankruptcy as opposed to looking for support from, quote, future generations, unquote. In an interview with Politico, McConnell called support for states a, quote, blue state bailout, unquote. So, practically, the bankruptcy option that is being suggested, well, I'm just going to tell you, it's full of problems. As we learned well here in Detroit, bankruptcy for states and local governments would likely largely focus on unfunded retirement obligations. So think pension, think healthcare. Oh, and then selling off stuff. So citizens under that model could get the short end of the stick twice. Not only would we get service cuts, and then retirees would be left in the cold. Speaking of partisan problems, Republicans in the state legislature are working to strip Governor Whitmer of her emergency powers by repealing an act from 1945. Republicans' goal is to push for the economy to open faster than what the governor and the vast majority of health experts would like. A second bill would reduce the amount of time the governor can declare a state of emergency from 28 to 14 days. To be honest, both of these actions are political grandstanding, as they will both surely be vetoed. Although polling shows most people are behind the governor's stay-at-home order, this crisis has turned into a political football. Corporate and philanthropic leaders have come together to get tablets with LTE internet connectivity to all 51,000 or so Detroit public school students. Detroit is one of the poorest cities in the nation, and a large percentage of residents have no internet of any kind. And 90% of students have not been able to learn at home because of a lack of access. The $23 million initiative will pay for iView education tablets and 6 months of internet access. And if there needs to be more internet access after that, the public school district will pay for it. The program is called Connected Futures, and it's a partnership between DTE Energy, Quicken Loans, the Skillman Foundation, the City of Detroit, and DPCSD. Tablets are scheduled to begin reaching students in June. General Motors is calling back some white-collar workers to begin readying their plants to go back to work, according to an email obtained by the Detroit Free Press. Although there isn't a hard date for the return, it's clear companies are starting to prepare. Automakers have shared targets as early as May 4th. Now, the United Auto Workers is saying that an early May start date is too soon to come back, and that the scientific data isn't conclusive that it will be safe to return. A new report from the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association outlines just how hard the hospitality industry has taken it on the chin during the crisis. They say that nearly 250,000 restaurant employees in the state have been furloughed or laid off, and that Michigan restaurants are projected to lose more than $1.2 billion in sales. Hotel operators have laid off more than 87,000 workers, according to their numbers, and projections call for a future with 35% hotel occupancy. Henry Ford Health System has joined the numerous healthcare providers doing massive layoffs. The nonprofit lost $43 million in operating income in March and is expected to lose even more money this month. So they'll be laying off about 2,800 workers who, according to the organization, do not deal directly with patient care. There has been a massive shift as demand for all other kinds of care other than COVID-19 has fallen off a cliff. And COVID-19 care is expensive for health systems with the cost of extra PPE, ventilators, and all of that. Laid off employees will keep their health insurance and be eligible for unemployment benefits. The Intercept, a national nonprofit news outlet, is reporting that Detroit City Council President Brenda Jones accepted thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from a local bank that did business with the Detroit Police and Fire Pension Fund, which Jones is a trustee in her role as council president. State rules cap campaign contributions from senior leadership of contractors with public pension funds at $350 per election, so the year in question, 2017, according to The Intercept, well, that cap would be $700. The report also outlines some other contributions, and I'm going to link to the whole thing in the show notes. I probably don't need to remind you that Detroit has a long history of funny business with pensions. Jones is one of the most popular politicians in the city and is a primary challenger to Rashida Tlaib for her congressional seat. I will note here, because I follow this for a while and I live in the 13th district in question, that it's going to be a very hot primary race between Tlaib and Jones. I expect more national eyes on both candidates as an intra-party fight among Democrats will brew. Tlaib has a high national profile as a progressive member of the House. Meanwhile, her district historically is more in the moderate Democratic lane. In a complicated process the last cycle, Tlaib lost the first special election to Jones, and Tlaib only beat Jones by less than 1,000 votes for her current term. Edible Wow magazine, popular with the farmers market crowd and local foodies and food industry folks, has been sold. Kate and Rob Harper founded the quarterly magazine 13 years ago and believe that, quote, the local people who are changing the food system should be as famous as the Detroit Tigers, unquote. They sold to two entrepreneurs and founders of the nonprofit Soil to Service, John Piazza and Jeremy Abbey, for an undisclosed amount. According to a release, the publication will remain part of the Edible Communities network of more than 80 culinary regions in North America. I have a few upcoming attractions to talk about. Congresswoman Haley Stevens, representing Michigan's 11th district, will be on the pod talking about the Paycheck Protection Program and some of the other things happening in Washington. Karen Liska, an entrepreneurial coach, will join us to talk about balancing your life now that your kids are always at home and how to deal with that. I know my coworkers have this problem. And Kevin Peterson from Castalia will come on to talk cocktails and about life as a bar owner while there's no patrons and what he's doing to get through. Before I go, thanks to our members on Patreon for making this show possible. Your support is crucial to keeping this thing going, and you can join them at patreon.com/dailydetroit. And ahead of time, thank you very much. And if you have ideas for the show, send me a note at dailydetroit@gmail.com like Dave did the other day. Always glad to hear from listeners. Well, I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and we'll get through this together. Talk to you tomorrow.